Hi, it's Joy, and today we're watching Criminal Minds, Season 17, Episode 8, North Star. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go! Is it just a random girl, or is it the North Star girl? Gold Star girl? Why was she running, in case someone was watching? Is that... I didn't even recognize her if that's the Gold Star girl. I'm stupid.
It's not as simple as you think.
Do you know how many times we've heard that?
No, wait. Just wait.
They were kids you abused, or authorized the abuse of.
It's Jason's office, and if you hadn't let him get killed, he'd still be in it.
Oh, you got some.
Okay, that is absolutely unbearable.
Jason's death.
Why not? You
How-
knew exactly what would happen, didn't you? Didn't you?
How dare she say that?
You might know who leaked it.
I do. Who? Me.
What?
You? If you knew the variables that identified teenage psychopathy, you could intervene on it.
Right, stop kids before they become.
That is reasonable. I was about to hate her.
Truly, any violence. It was the same thing here with these places.
Wait, places?
Oh lord.
Plural?
These kids, they needed so much more help than any program could provide.
So that's why the government knew about it, was because they worked with a company, they set it up, they okayed it, they sent out the proposal and everything, and it was the company, I guess, that did the opposite. Or did the FBI agree to having these little unsanctioned killers built? Maybe. It explains
What?
Bailey knowing about it.
They didn't help any of these kids, did they?
No.
Do you want to talk about it?
I'd like something clarified, personally.
Dude,
Told me she broke your heart.
she said that? That's bullshit.
Okay, thank God.
Then
I was about to disown Rossi.
So I stepped away from the BAU. I
Look
thought
it.
it best that they
I have
go on as a family.
so much more respect for Rossi, because you have agency, you have control. If you find yourself falling for someone and they're in a relationship, you can step away. You don't have to pursue it. You don't have some burdened purpose to pursue it. Even if you think, I'm better than the person they're with, that's their choice to make. Step away. You don't need to act on it. So actually, I went from being terrified I was going to hate Rossi to being like, respect.
Never get it right. With anybody.
Life isn't
And it
straightforward.
started with Jill.
You did the right thing with Jill, Rossi. That's what I'd say if I was Emily. You did the right thing. You stepped
She gave us
away.
a list, which means this might not be their first staged kill.
Probably not their last either.
Follow up with that list of names Jill gave us.
I'll check out Penelope.
Jill needs to be protected when she goes home, because she'll be in there.
It's me, right? Hey, it's just me.
I mean, I feel awful for them for what they've been through, but now turning around and murdering everyone is not the right answer. They were just kids already in a terrible position.
Hey, wait, we talked about this, right? We talked about this.
Because they need help, and they needed help, and they didn't get help, and they're never going to trust anyone to get help. But at this point, they need help while they're in prison. Looking out for these kids and the people that should have been or abusing them, both
And I...
parental and state.
What if I help?
With a SWAT team of backup? I mean, maybe not a literal SWAT team, but you know, that many people and more.
This kid didn't have anyone looking out for him.
And then
Except
your
for
program used and
one
abused
foster
him.
dad who was upset that his... I should have made sure we were on the same side.
Yes.
So now we look back and we see
I
what
mean-
you missed out on the first time.
I like that her goal was noble. Like, her goal makes sense. Find people that are at risk of becoming psychopaths, serial killers, or whatever, and stop it. Help them. Put them on a different path. Makes sense. But just leaving it up to some shady corporation that's like, yes, we'll only use a sort of shell corporation to contact you. There were signs that it wasn't above board. I don't like this woman. She just puts me on edge.
Interesting. What are the chances you and Elias Voit are connected to this Carious network? Let's say legally unsavory. We'll be there waiting.
He's already done it, actually. You missed him. You were too late. And now his wife's gonna get killed.
Huh.
Given that we know they have sniper guns, she maybe should stay away from the windows. I mean, they don't know that, I suppose. And the MO is that they like to kill up close and personal, but I'm
We've been
concerned.
doing some complicated.
Who is the puppet master telling them to kill everyone to save the children?
In fact, he probably has a history of abusing kids himself.
Was he the man that came into the room that she can't remember?
Well, you break.
I don't like this.
I can't.
He's the only person thinking sensibly here.
I have to go.
I would be like, can I come with you? I think I'm going to be safer in the BAU. I will sleep on a sofa. Serial killers are after me. I don't want to stay home.
Stewart House.
Sweet son of Satan. It's Damien.
Damien Booth.
Virginia State. And where are we going?
To save a child, Damien. Little boy. He's hurting. He's in so much
She
pain.
knows how to play
What's still
him.
happening?
She's manipulating him to get somewhere, right? Take him somewhere where he'll get captured.
Now that we have Damien.
Honestly, I do think this series would be better without the romance drama, whether it's been Penelope and Tyler or Dave and Jill. She could just be Gideon's ex, and that would be interesting enough.
Why did I leave? I knew what they were capable of.
Okay, let's start
You'd
there.
be
Why
dead.
did you leave? Back up. You kissed Jill.
No,
She kissed him to make him leave.
she did. She has a profile. She's gonna try to talk the gun out of their hands.
Why would she do that?
To save her
She saw
life.
something I didn't. So
Is it going to be to their cabin? We discussed the cabin. Is he the little boy she's trying to save? I mean, it's too late for them. Like, my heart absolutely breaks for them as kids and everything they went through. And the people that did this to them deserve to rot in prison for the rest of their lives, in a cage themselves. Killing them all did not help anyone.
Where's the boy?
You.
It's you, Damien. Foster father, and he loved you. He never gave up on you. He tried to get you out of Stewart House, and that
Shut up.
made him a problem to the people in charge.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up!
That's what she spotted. His
So
death
they
was connected.
sent you to kill him, and more. He denied it the angrier you got until you had no choice but to kill him.
No.
He was the first one.
No, no.
The first test. Wasn't he?
Shut up.
In the name of saving
She knows
children,
how
wasn't he?
to deconstruct him.
In order to survive, you had to see patterns that weren't there. And someone starting at Stewart House, they reinforced those fictional patterns.
She's not lying to him. She's also not trying to be like, I didn't do anything. Even though she didn't do that to him. She didn't know.
Back then you didn't have a choice, but right here, right now you do. You have a choice. You have a choice.
I know I said I didn't care if she died, but I don't actually want to watch her die. Or for her to die.
It was a lie.
It was.
Oh. All of it.
Is he gonna kill himself? Kill her?
Yes.
Or get captured? They're victims first. This is so fascinating.
They're not. It's not your fault.
They're victims and kids whose brains were rewired. Literally kids whose brains were rewired, but they need to be in prison for a very long time. She did it.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Jade is gonna spiral. Kind of similar to the serial killer in the previous episode, in that there's no victory with catching him. Like, there's relief that he can't kill anyone else. But at the end of the day, he was a kid who needed help. And the program that was supposed to help him hurt him irrevocably. Oh god. He's gonna close his fist. Because they promised they wouldn't go back to a cage. She is going to spiral. No one is a winner here, even when he catches Jade. She's just as much a victim.
It's my fault.
So the more you hear about how their brains were literally rewired, how are they ever going to do anything else than take their violence out on the world? They're not innocent, but their brains were specifically and intentionally rewired. They didn't have a choice. And I could understand that deep-seated fear of going back into a cage. And she had to be the one to do it. She'd have got help, but they have no way of knowing, and especially she didn't. She hasn't even had any of it detangled in her head. I think the more they talked in this episode about the process that was used to make them into Gold Star, about how they were literally manipulated in their brain, it wasn't just abuse. I'm not trying to minimize abuse by any means, but it was abuse and like a targeted reshaping of their brains. Like, I hadn't fully twigged before, as much as like we knew the psychological stuff of taking a psychopath and turning them into a killer. It hadn't fully sunk all the way in what that meant, and about how it actually literally meant changing how their brains function and rewiring their brains so that they would become the killers they wanted to be, and then continuing to tell them these lies and conspiracy theories. And I guess every time they sent them on the mission, they would be like, that. So from the way he said they saved us, did somebody like come and liberate them from the Stewart house? And then those people that saved them from the Stewart house were like, we need you to save other kids just like you. You're perfect to do it. Or something. I guess, sort of the way they controlled and manipulated them. And it is heartbreaking. Like, you think these kids, and we have to hope it only happened in this 5 and that they didn't open any other places. But these 5 kids were already suffering, had already been hurt by the world more than anyone should ever be hurt. And this place that was supposedly designed to help them turned them into this and made it so they had no other choice. Like, I think the moment he put the gun down, he'd already decided to die. But he just didn't want to do it himself. He didn't want to pull the trigger himself. Maybe he was considering just running off, but then the FBI were outside. And watching him be de-radicalized was heartbreaking. For him to realize that he actually did kill the one person in his life who'd ever loved him. I know that, like, Jade loves him, but like, and the other Gold Star people love him, but that's very different. Like, someone that was looking out for him, and he took his life. Now, I don't blame him for that. It's so hard because I want to say my usual thing of, you don't have, just because you suffer horrifically doesn't excuse you going off and killing people. Other people suffer horrifically and then don't go and become serial killers. But in this specific case, they truly are victims all the way through. They were made to be this way. And I think before, my brain was almost thinking, well, once you got out from it, once you weren't being abused anymore, just make a life for yourself, be free of it. But from hearing Jill talk about it and her way of describing it, they stood no chance. And it's really sad to watch because if I'm not wrong, 2 are dead. Jade, we know, and then there are 2 other ones, or maybe one of the other ones is also dead or missing or something. But like, there's at least one other person out there who's going through the same thing, and is he just living a life, or is he doing this? So it's absolutely heartbreaking to see. And yet again, Voit has seen these vulnerable kids on his network, and he continued the conspiracy theory. For all that he's like, oh yeah, conspiracy theories, do it. He found Damien and was like, again, I use you for some, like, he is terrible, but so are the people who ran Stewart House. There was a moment when I genuinely thought they were going to say that Jill had been actually behind everything that happened at Stewart House again, or like that she like knew about the truth of it. So when she was involved, as far as it was, of taking these at-risk kids, taking these at-risk kids for, and helping them, trying to change their brains, but in a healthy way, trying to save them. And like, that is such a good cause, and that is something that I hear, and I'm like, that is such a good idea. Like, we should find these at-risk kids and stop them from going down a dark path and give them more opportunities. But then the darkness is, there are always people out there looking to exploit and hurt people, and that's what they did here. Now, I do wonder, we still don't know who was behind the Shell Corporation. We still don't know who was behind it. From what it sounds like, everyone who worked at the Stewart house as a doctor or as anyone, they're all dead. But the people who were the level up, maybe even the people who are the saviors, who are the ones who actually arranged all of this, we still don't know who they are. And they profiled that the person at the head of it all is likely a pedophile. And Jade had a nightmare that somebody came into her room and they were holding her down, and it was a man and she didn't recognize him. So I almost wonder if that was him, and that might be the thing that gets through to Jade, that the people she's working for, or that the people that told her these lies, are lying, because she'll realize he also hurt her, like he couldn't resist. It doesn't change the fact that whoever hurt her, it doesn't change the fact that she was hurt, but it is maybe one way that they can get through to her eventually. Because we saw with Damien that she was able to talk him down, to explain it to him in a way that made sense. She did it, given that there was a gun to her head, she did it with understanding and grace. And I think what makes things different is she could so easily have said, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. I came up with a program to try and do the opposite, to try and take kids who were in bad situations and at risk and help them and help move their brains into a healthier light. And I'm so sorry I didn't see that this is what was actually being done to you. Like, I wouldn't have even blamed her for doing that, because yes, it's begging for your life and he has no reason to believe you, but it is the truth, and you can hope that something of the truth in your voice would get through to him. But I don't necessarily think that would have worked. I think he would have been like, well, you should have known, or whatever. But her just calmly, kindly, given there was a gun in her head, explaining it to him and explaining that it wasn't his fault, that was really emotional and not what I was expecting at all. This show is doing it so well. Like, this, we still have Voit in the picture. We still have a long overarching serial killer. Now, Criminal Minds obviously did have their serial killers that were overarching, but they tended to be more like, they pop up here, they pop up there, they pop up here and we'd get them, rather than like a season of like solid hunting. But it makes sense, and it's just so horrific what happens to these kids. And as much as like the best thing for them is to catch them and put them in jail and slowly but surely give them psychiatric treatment to de-radicalize them, to de-escalate this, I do wonder how much they're too far gone. Like, obviously, Damien would have rather died than do that, go back to prison. Yes, he chose to stop the killing. But Jade, I almost feel like is more radicalized than he is. And maybe it's because the abuse she suffered was that bit more acute, because it had the sexual component to it. And the boys might also have been sexually assaulted. I don't know. I'm not saying they weren't. But we know for sure she was, and that she was treated differently because she was the only girl. And I wonder how much that made her even more extreme, in that she was even more vulnerable to what they have done to her. And now she has killed Damien. They seem to be in love with each other, as what, more than just loving each other. She was the one who had to do it. She will think the FBI tricked him, they manipulated him, it's their fault. She is going to step it up another notch. She is going to go even further. Now, my question that I do have is, are they still in contact with whoever this person is that they profiled was giving them orders and telling them what to do? Or was it that person that authorized the strike team to stop them? It's very interesting. But this episode was heartbreaking in so many ways. And I'm just sad right now. So we will see what happens in the next one. In terms of Voit, we didn't see him in this one, but he's still Voit, and his lawyer we're on to, but his lawyer's already done the shifty thing. The suspicious thing will be if his wife turns up dead, or if Voigt's planning on doing that when he gets out. But yeah, things are building. 2 episodes left. I'm sad and I'm stressed. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.